This first part of this video was sent to me by a viewer of the channel where he scraped some stuff off his window, shows that it's magnetic, and we'll talk later about aluminum and copper not being magnetic, therefore there must be a different metal particle that is magnetic, and whether it's nefarious or helpful to us to prop up the magnetic field and mitigate solar radiation.
All right, this car hasn't been washed in a while, but you can see on the windows here, there's a lot of water spots. Okay, so I'm gonna take a razor blade and I'm going to scrape this window and just scrape all the film off of this. It's not a lot coming off. But if I do enough scrapes, I should be able to get a little pile. Okay, so now on the edge, you can see on the edge of this, the white stuff's there. So I'm gonna take this inside, put it on a magnet, see what happens. So now I've got my magnet. I want to show you that this magnet's clean. Okay, there's nothing on the mag. There might be a little blemish here or there, but it's clean. Okay, and here's my razor blade with some things on it. So I'm just gonna, it's hard to hold the camera and do this at the same time, so let me see if I could do this. I'm just gonna scrape this stuff off. Okay. So this was on my window. It just came off the razor blade. Now I'm going to take my magnet. Watch this. Oh, Karen, you got to see this.
I've been wanting to talk about this ever since the island incident last month, but I thought it best to wait until they're on to the next thing. And yeah, they're definitely on to the next thing. This was actually published in Markets Insider September 6, 2018. While researching for his new novel, author Dennis Miller discovered an alarming link between string clouds and the let's go with pyrotechnics. And I'm actually surprised they haven't came out and tried to explain string clouds as legitimate string clouds or something. But the author discovered unprecedented levels of aluminum and barium nanodust, primary components in string clouds, both of which are incendiary and fueling the ferocity of pyrotechnics. Back when we had the original For Real YouTube, there was a video out of someone that had taken water from outside, and the particles from the string clouds fall down and rest in the water. They took that to a lab, and it definitely came up for aluminum and barium. There are a lot of videos. I don't want to play it on here, but you guys can look up aluminum powder and how volatile it is. It's basically like black powder. And it's one of only two ingredients in thermite, which is just aluminum powder and rust. A retired USAF Brigadier General Charles Jones, has been quoted from a public source as stating, "These white aircraft string clouding in the sky are the result of scientifically verifiable spraying of aluminum particles and other toxic heavy metals, polymers, and chemicals. Millions of tons of aluminum and barium are being dropped almost daily across the U.S. Just sprinkle aluminum or barium dust on a flame and see what happens. When pyros break out, the aluminum barium dust results in levels of intensity so great as to cause fighters to coin a new term, fire NATOs. Now, I don't want to show the images here, but one thing that I have noticed about all of these very peculiar events is the rivers of sparks that are being blown down the street and up into the air, falling down on everything. There's just all of these tiny glowing embers everywhere. And well, those particular metal powders would produce that exact result. I heard someone talking about back in the World War II days is if you had a weapon system or something that you needed disabled, you could spend millions in jet fuel and bang droppers and hopefully eliminate the target, or you can take one Green Beret, give him 5 pounds of thermite, send him in there, and he will disable whatever system you're trying to disable. If you're not familiar with thermite, this particular video is showing how it will just incinerate a lock, a master lock. It's literally hot enough to melt holes through tanks and keep going. And there are only 2 ingredients to this: aluminum powder and rust. So if aluminum powder is falling from the sky and there's rusty farm equipment out there, whatever it may be, well, voila, you've got thermite sitting around all over your yard. So I just thought I'd point this out to everybody. This is why things are exceptionally bad in some areas. Now, oh yeah, sample testing says that areas are 25,000 times the safe guidelines. I don't know if you heard about this, but down on the island, they would not allow residents to go back into their neighborhood, and they sent in the EPA and they started taking and barreling everything up and hauling it off to a place for disposal. What do you think somebody would find in that topsoil if they were to chemically analyze it? Do you think that they might find large amounts of burnt aluminum and barium and things like that? Yeah, literally everything environmentally related that the GOV is involved in is a grift for one reason or another. And in this particular case, they're taking the evidence from the scene of the crime and boxing it up, sending it off somewhere else, just like they did with the New York skyscrapers, where there was still molten metal for months after the event, but they packed up every little piece of evidence there and took it out to Fresh Kills landfill. I can't make this up. That's literally what it's called. So now you guys know what these red shoe wearing beeps are doing with all of those string clouds. At least one aspect of it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Static out.
Now you're seeing all that glitter, right? So this is because of all the metallic compounds that are sprayed in the air that go down into the soil that get leached up into the tree. And aluminum is an accelerant. Aluminum powder is in every single fireworks out there. It's an accelerant and it dries out the trees. And it picks up electromagnetic frequencies. So it dries the trees out, which makes them easier to burn. It adds an accelerant like gasoline. And when hit with the electromagnetic frequencies, these are quite possibly what produces the self-replicating nanobots that have been seen in the fires of California, particularly the Paradise Fires, where the demon embers were rolling around in packs rather than dispersing evenly throughout the air as you would expect. they would roll in packs, and they would even go upwind. And they roll to the next target using electromagnetic frequencies that push and pull them. They find each other, they find the next target, and then the frequency is applied to turn them red hot. Possibly, just a theory, but all those theories matter far less than the fact that all that glitter hold on. The cat is being so insistent. She's like jumping up on my back. She wants to be part of this so bad. Okay, you're apart. I'll turn the camera around and show them how annoying you're being as soon as I'm done. So these particles, these metallic particles that are reflecting light like glitter, I don't believe those are just normal charcoal. I believe that's the metallic nanoparticles. Watch out. And the sunlight's going away, but maybe it'll actually give us a different view. Of the glitter. Maybe this is what animates tree beard. This is what makes all the trees get up and walk. They're already infested with nanobots. Because the glitter just keeps on coming. Let me see if that sun's gonna come back out. Oh. Show you its repeatability. I'm gonna try and stabilize the camera a little more here. There we go. Sweet. I might even just start over right here. What you're seeing is the particulate particulate in the tree. The glitter, the reflective glitter, is the nanoparticles, I believe, of metal that are used to filter the sun. And these happen every time. I have another video with this same exact effect, but I wanted to show repeatability because that shows that it's a scientific fact if you can repeat it. And this is what happens every time. That I scrub the wood. You can see it in the burnt wood because it's burnt away the wood and leaves the metal particulate that's in the wood, that it leaches up through the air and the water and the soil. And I believe they can use these particles like antenna to receive electromagnetic frequencies and glow red hot, and they can remote control them, having them move upwind or any direction they want in a swarm. And that's what we saw in the Paradise Fires, was what the reporters were referring to as the demon embers. They noted that the embers were swarming around and would go from one place to another. But if you look closely at some of those videos, you'll notice they even go, it's like they've got a mind of their own. And they can be remotely controlled through electromagnetic frequencies that move them around in swarms, take them to a target location, make them glow red hot, and move on to the next location. So let me scrub you up some more real quick. I was in the wrong spot. You can see how thick they are now after you scrub for a minute. And then they kind of thin out, and you can scrub more of them up. Anyway, just wanted to show you. Nanoparticles.
Guys, what you're looking at right here is the sky from this morning, about 8:30, from Southeast Phoenix, Arizona. Chemtrailing was very, very prominent for just a few hours, and then it quit. The afternoon skies were very normal, but as you can clearly see this morning, it was not. And as usual, it's always around the proximity of the sun. In my case, they're normally flying from, like in this video, from March of this year. They're flying from that same direction, in fact, southeast to northwest, or from east to west. This particular day, you could tell it was just a full-blown, urgent type of situation. You could just feel the urgency literally in the air. I want to say this was March 22nd. And at one time during this video I took, I think there were 18 or 20 different lines right in through here. All I did with the video was convert it into a negative format so that the lines would be black, the sky would be white. So you could have a little different perspective. Here's my theory, and again, it's just a theory, okay? I'm not a scientist. I am a man who's given this a lot of thought, like most of you have, and this is what I've concluded. I think what we're looking at here is an attempt to save Earth's magnetic shields and atmosphere from something in space. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the magnetic fields. I think they're sensing something that they're not used to. Like we noticed an anomaly back on April 23rd. This was in March. I think there was something that was noticed by whoever monitors or has the fine equipment. They noticed a breach in the atmosphere. When they notice a breach, lines, sometimes grids like you see right here, are implemented, probably depending on the severity of the breach. These lines are made up of, and again, this is just a theory. I'm entitled to a theory, just like you are. These lines are made up of these things right here, nanoparticles. This thing is basically a neutralizer. It collects energy, a foreign type of energy that your magnetic shields are not used to. So it needs some help. This thing here is made of aluminum and copper. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 times smaller than a human hair, so it can be dispersed in an aerosol form. Because you can set these things on the ground, and they're not going to do any good. They have to become airborne, and that's what they are. So they're dispersed by airplanes to be airborne. Independently, they're no good. But in a huge assembly of lines, they're apparently working pretty good. And what they're doing, this is a picture from this morning, May 11th. Southeast, flying to the northwest, in the proximity of the sun. You can see how they're thin. Those lines were just laid as I was driving to the school. 20 minutes later, right here, coming back to the east, see how they've gotten bigger and fanned out? Those are the same lines. They've collected the energy that they're supposed to, and they disperse and fall to the ground. Maybe they don't fall to the ground. I think maybe they do, though, but it just depends on the strength of that given day. And where the energy is coming in at, that's where the planes are sent to, and the spraying begins. That's just my theory, and I'm sticking to it. I've thought of every single scenario under the sun, and that's the only one that I can logically speak of. I don't think there's a sinister attack on humanity. I don't think that. That's too much work. They've been doing this for several years now. I just think it's just an old-fashioned attempt like Ben Franklin made back in the 1700s. You know, he invented the old lightning rod that captured the energy before it damaged your home, you know. That was through a grounding process. This is terminally airborne grounds it. Takes the energy and disperses it in the atmosphere, and it helps the atmosphere contain it. The source of this energy, well, again, that's a whole nother subject. Personally, I think it's a combination of two things. I'm a believer in the binary star system. I believe we have two suns. We just can't see the second sun. I don't think you can ever see it. I don't think one day we're going to wake up and see two stars in the sky that resemble something from Star Wars. I just don't think that's going to happen. However, I think our sun feels its close approach. And its close approach may be 10 billion, 20 billion miles away, farther. Who knows? But it can still feel it. It can sense it. When it senses it, it changes its energy output from, let's just call it a yellow dwarf. Say, all we've ever known, it's got the energy output and the magnetic shields of Earth are used to a yellow dwarf energy output. Well, as the second sun approaches and gets closer, it feels it, changes its energy output to, say, that of a white dwarf. So the spraying begins, and most of it is right in front of the sun because it changes the output of the sun. Pay attention to your surroundings where you're at, guys. You're going to see an absence of man-made color. Look at car paint. Look at signs on buildings, mainly ones that face east, south, or southwest. You'll notice those signs are bleached. The color is fading rapidly. And that's because of an influenced UV light. And I think it's influenced by binary star. And it's affecting our star in a way that they're trying to deal with it the best way that they can. And I think our magnetic shields and our ionosphere sense it from time to time in the form of disturbances, maybe a disconnect. That's what happened here. They don't fully understand the disconnect phenomenon. When we notice these things, they take the data down and say that it was nothing. Well, it's very obvious it was. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean, you know, it's not something that maybe we can't figure out together. But it's just the way it is. That's another reason I'm motivated to build our own magnetic field observatory. It's not that hard, but it's like anything else. It's funds that set us back and keep us from accomplishing these things. I don't like asking for money, guys. I've always done everything on my own. I don't like asking for money. That's not me. It's not who I am. But I definitely feel the urgency that this project does need to be done. If not by me, then by somebody else that has the money to do it. Get motivated and do it. Because the magnetic shields of Earth can tell you a wealth of information. Do you understand that? They can give you a whole wealth of knowledge. It's like a giant set of ears to outer space, and not only that, you can monitor the health of the magnetic shields themselves. If there is a planetary body near Earth or the solar system, those instruments are going to tell you. Do you realize that? They're going to tell you. But back to the chemtrails and the spraying, I think that's what's going on, guys. I do think there is a source of energy that the magnetic shields and the atmosphere in general are just having a hard time dealing with. I think they're spraying nanoparticles in the air that are acting as airborne energy diffusers. They're harnessing this energy. Once they're done harnessing their energy and doing that form of energy doing their job. They fan out in a fashion just like I saw this morning, and they disperse. They may fall back down to Earth. I don't know. But they're probably assessing the damage, and they're probably weighing one against the other. I don't know. I have no idea. It's just a theory. But if you went to that Conrad Observatory website that I told you guys to look at last night, there's another wealth of knowledge. Those people are experts in the magnetic field. They've already told us that it's moved 20 degrees since they've been monitoring it, over 170 years. So you can do the math. And you can form a respectable conclusion based off of that. They said it's weakened 10% in that time as well. So is it weakening just because of day-to-day wear and tear? Or is it weakening because of an influence of a second source of energy? I don't know. But we could figure it out if we had the right equipment and we didn't have information being taken away from us. We had a steady flow of data that we could monitor these anomalies. We could figure it out. So that's what's motivated me, guys. And to be quite honest with you, I've never shared this with you guys, but my theory of what happened to the dinosaurs is not a catastrophic comet or a 6-mile wide asteroid that hit in the Gulf of Mexico, the Yucatan. I don't believe that. My theory is the magnetic shields went down, and everything on Earth went down with them. That's my theory. I don't believe the comet thing hit the Earth and destroyed the atmosphere from within. I think the magnetic shields went down. They've done it before, and they're going to do it again. And I think this is an attempt to at least slow down the process until they can figure out a better approach. And that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. And if you can help with the cause to get some magnetic field equipment, that would be absolutely awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.
What the hell is going on? That's a good question, brother. Look at this. What's going on? Look, all this fucking bullshit. What's going on?
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, the flats are on fire. So that's cool. It's just a bunch of mulch, fire trucks here. But yeah, so pretty eventful day. Alright. It's cool. We got the this lit the traffic sign on fire. Dude, this is kind of insane. Bro, I really understand how wildfires spread now, because this is literally lighting like pretty much everything on fire, dog. This is actually kind of insane, bro. Yeah, I'm absolutely not driving into that, so oh, the boys are on it though. The boys are on it though. We're chilling. All right. Oh.
What? Dom, get out of there!
Dude, get out of there. Dude, I've never seen anything.
No, I've never seen anything like this either. What is going on? What?
Notice the embers, the little tiny embers.
What the hell is going on? That's a good question, brother. Look at this. What's going on? Look, all this fucking bullshit. What's going on?
That's okay.
Yeah. Woo. Fucking last. Started this. what's going on?
That's okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I started this.
I'll leave the link in the description to that video titled Left Behind, Seraphim, or The Burning Ones, Cleaning House in Cleveland. It's a 20-minute long video. I just wanted to reference this for the embers. It's a great example of these embers. So first, let's consider the nefarious possibility for these nanoparticles, and if they might be part of some sort of directed energy system. Here on the thumbnail for the video, contributed by Static in the Attic, you can see the classic plasma fire burn signature. All the houses that burned are 100% burned. None of them are 75, 50%, or 25% burned. They're all 100%. And then there's the lucky house that didn't burn, and all the trees in between the houses that also didn't burn. I imagine something like a carrier wave. Just like a harmless radio frequency, like a RFID that gets a ping back from things to read their frequency, like your garage door opener that works on a specific frequency so it doesn't open your neighbor's garage door, only yours. And you put out this carrier wave and you get a feedback from everything in the area, from every house on the carrier wave. And the places that you want to protect, you send a counter frequency. Let's say the destroyer frequency that's going to ride down the carrier wave is at 100 hertz. I'm just making up numbers. You put a negative 100 hertz field around the house that you don't want to burn in the carrier wave before you release the destroyer wave. So then when the destroyer frequency rides down the carrier wave frequency, seeking out some places and others, it has a repulsion towards the house with negative 100 hertz, and it draws towards all the other places. These are I'm just spitballing ideas here. And along that same lines, just like each house can be enveloped with a frequency that draws the destroyer wave to it, or repels the destroyer wave away from it, so it is that each person puts off a unique frequency signature, your brain waves, your heart waves, like what can be detected on an EKG. And each person might be able to be given a hedge of protection, while the destroyer wave vaporizes everyone else. These are just ideas. This was the diagram Mr. MB3 showed during the video when he was proposing that these are to help prop up the magnetic field as part of a solar radiation mitigation program. And this is the thumbnail image that he used for that video. That video was made 7 years ago. You can see that at the bottom left hand corner. I'll include the link to that video along with Static in the Attic. And you can see written on this, there's the ionosphere boundary, ULF radiation, quasi-static, magnetic perturbation, aligned current, ULF radiation. And so he's got a pretty sophisticated idea, far more than me spitballing ideas, when it comes to what these nanoparticles are and how they work and even what they're made of in this other diagram where he shows it's aluminum and copper. So, is it nefarious for directed energy systems? Or is it to prop up the magnetic field? And because aluminum is only lightly and mildly associated with Alzheimer's, they did a cost-benefit analysis and decided we'd all be better off if we did this program that they've been doing for the last 20 years. Either way, we're all full of those particles, just like that wood that I scrubbed. And they were just pouring out, the glitter's coming out of the burnt wood. So it is that you and I and every vegetable you eat and every piece of meat that you eat are chock full of those particles. So, are these nanoparticles beneficial to us and for good purposes, or nefarious and for bad purposes? Or maybe both. Maybe there's different factions within different agencies and different agencies within different countries, and they all have their own agenda. Either way, we're definitely saturated with these particles that have been raining down for 20 years. Now, I noticed something Mr. MB3 said. He said he thinks when this second star comes around, it increases the energy output of our sun from that of a yellow dwarf to that of a white dwarf, and that aligns with J Dreamer's cosmology. I'm sure they differ in many areas of their cosmologies. But J Dreamer's talks about the temperature and color related to light. And as you increase the temperature of the light, the color changes. The cooler light is red, and then as it increases in temperature, it turns to orange, and then yellow, and then the next hotter temperature is white, and then the next hotter temperature is blue. And they measure the light in temperature in Kelvin. It's a unit of measurement I don't understand, but I notice here in this photo that Mr. MB3 showed us, one on his way to and one on his way 20 minutes later back from, after these trails have fanned out a little bit. The one on the left looks yellowish white, the one on the right looks blue. Maybe it's just a trick of the light. Or maybe it has something to do with the particles fanning out. I don't know, but I just thought that was noteworthy. And beyond whether or not they're contributing to our magnetic field or contributing to fires, I'm thinking that all of these nanoparticles have many other uses. It's a multifaceted thing. And when we're all full of them and the sky is full of them, they can be utilized for many different purposes. Like maybe you don't need a subdermal microchip implant anymore. You've got a bunch of metallic antennae all through your body that can be used for many different purposes. But either way, the air is full of them, the soil is full of them, the water is full of them, and all the fruits and vegetables you eat are full of them, and it's way past the point of no return when it comes to mitigating these things. People talk about detoxing. You can just do chelation and eat some I'm trying to think of one of the things they use for chelation, but it's not coming to me right now. Either way, I think we're inundated to the point where I don't think you can really detox these from your body. They're all over. But if you want to try, cilantro is one of the things that they say you can use to excrete metals from your body through the process of chelation. See? Not all bad news. So you can stuff that cilantro in your pipe and take a big old hit of hopium, because I don't think eating cilantro is going to mitigate the effects that these things have for whatever purposes they're used. We're all in this together.